Just as a reflection on what you're sharing, there's two ways to look at democracy, whether it's dead, dying, or coming alive. Democracy also came as a reaction against the aristocrats decades ago. So perhaps the fact that people are not participating in the old form of democracy is a clear sign that democracy is alive and it's itself transforming and it's shifting its focus. And that's why also what we're exploring today, we make a distinction between governments and governance. And what we can see is that there are all kinds of experiments popping up around the world where people are taking governance into their own hands and experimenting with whole new ways of democratizing their own creativity, their skills, their participation, the co-creation of new ecosystems of learning, of economics. So in that spirit, it might be good to have a look at how is the spirit of democracy itself alive within us and perhaps even ushering us to explore new ways of engagement, new ways of governing, and then learning how to steward our earth together. And with that, I'm going to be sharing with all of you a case study. And this case study is called Seeds. And Seeds started as an experiment many, many years ago of a group of people who took what Buckminster Fuller had said to heart, don't fight the old systems, just co-create a better model. And they've been very successful in drawing in more and more and more people. I joined them a year ago as one of its architects for the Constitution. And now we've grown to 8,000 people who are part of this, 450 organizations, providing funding for over 250 organizations with over 330 citizens. So I'm going to be sharing with all of you a case study from there to just give you an idea of what else is possible. And I'll be going through this presentation for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then we're going to do something experimental, and that is a visioning session. So I'm going to be guiding you then after that to really imagine a future world of a new paradigm, politics and governance.
While most of us dream of recreating a cleaner, greener, and more beautiful world, the financial system has very different priorities. It relies on infinite exploitation to feed a dream of endless growth. In reality, though, our lives depend on one planet with finite resources. And with that planet in the midst of a climate crisis, this disconnect between our financial system and our ecosystem is one we can no longer afford. Seeds offers a solution, a movement that allows us to share financial success, distribute value fairly, and move towards the common vision of a thriving civilization. Seeds gives humanity the tools to reimagine what money can be and do. A financial ecosystem designed to regenerate our planet. Seeds, all uppercase, is the ecosystem's name, and Seeds, capital S, is its currency. One that's already rewarding the people and organizations, creating a healthier, more equal, and abundant world. Seeds uses cutting-edge technology aimed at creating a more healthy and stable economy, and there are no fees for using it. In fact, the more you exchange, the more value you help create. Value that Seeds reinvests in the planet via grants to community projects, regenerative businesses, and movements. Better still, as the value of Seeds grows, it flows to all members of the Seeds ecosystem, not based on wealth, but on how much they contribute to healing the planet and shaping Seeds itself. That's right, Seeds is a true democracy that lets us all own the change we want to see in the world. Finally, a financial system by the people, for the people, to regenerate our planet.
And then here is a very high-level overview of the ecosystem of Seeds. And yesterday we talked about holarchy and holonic architecture based on living systems. Well, here you see an application of that. I won't be going into all the details. There's a lot of information on the Seeds website where you can get all of this. But I think this also aligns beautifully with Erwin Laszlo's white paper, which was really the inspiration for this conference. And we see here the practical application. Behind that, there is also a constitution. And when we talk about a constitution here, we're not just talking about a nice piece of paper or a constitution of a business organization. We're really talking about a constitution that is truly serving as a foundation now for the design of all those protocols, the architecture, how we, the kind of governance that we are creating. And I just want you to have a little bit of an idea of what is behind all of this. So starting with the first draft, on Earth Day 2020, it went through 8 different versions. We had 8 constitutional assemblies through which we went through a very in-depth visioning process as well, and similar to what we're going to be doing today. 12 plus months of passionate discussions, over 1,500 comments, 120 plus regenerators across the Earth participated and contributed. So it was truly a democratic way in which this constitution came about. And we also would like to kind of presence that with the expectations of today. Today, we're not going to make a new Earth constitution. What we're doing is exploring what would be the steps, the actions, the forms of collaboration, the preparation towards possibly the making of new constitutions, not just one, but a diversity of constitutions, as well as perhaps a new kind of spirit of an Earth constitution. Okay, so this is a brief overview of the whole constitution. There's a part 1, part 2. And part 1 of the constitution is based on a cosmic compass design, which also features in the book that I wrote together with my dear friend Jean Houston, who is also with us on the call. And that we've just published our book in The Quest of Rose, which is the first book of the Future Humans trilogy. For those of you who really want to take an in-depth view of this cosmic compass, you will find it there. And also in our last session yesterday, there was a fascinating conversation we had about how can we embed cosmological laws, so the alignment of human-made laws with the understanding of the cosmological laws as foundation for sustainability, regeneration, and thrivability. So I'm going to share with you a little bit about the deeper principles as we're working with new paradigm principles that are also based on a new paradigm scientific understanding of the nature of reality, consciousness as primary to the physical manifestation, and matter even as a form of consciousness, as well as the deeper architecture of our universe and life itself. And as we've been exploring in the last sessions already, what would it mean if we, even as David Orr was just saying earlier, if we were to be embedding the living system principles, where here you can see how it has been embedded into a new governance system, also as the foundation for a new financial economic system, a new educational system too. Okay, so here we have it. Here is a drawing of the cosmic compass design. And in fact, all the little dots that you're seeing there, the white dots, hold particular coordinates of choices, of possibilities, of potentials, of responsibilities as well. I won't be going into in-depth now what those coordinates mean, but there is a whole methodology behind that. But on a broad view, the compass needs to actually guide our vision. Where are we navigating for? And then, of course, the deeper purpose. The purpose here is the little black dot in the center of the compass. Integrated within that are 3 laws of life, which I'm going to be guiding you through in a minute. There are future archetypes, 5 of them. There are also coordinates for 8 developmental values. Within it embedded are 13 key principles, new paradigm principles that are based on the kind of cosmic architecture of life, and what we need to understand about that in order to apply that to new informational systems in terms of, again, finance, economics, governance, as well as education, social change. And then there are 16 commitments as focal areas that we really need to steward together in order to make that transition and shift away from the trajectory of collapse on which we are currently and start navigating for thrivability and regeneration. And this is a very high level overview of what you see all in the design within the compass. So the little dot is based on the understanding of our universe and life as a unified reality. So that's based on the research, which actually says that the universe itself is a single coherent unified entity, and that we are seeing this unified architecture at all levels and scales of existence. And then out of that, and that's also based on a reinterpretation of the first law of thermodynamics into the law of infodynamics, and a lot of that work is based on the brilliant research of Dr. Jude Curver. And that moves us then into understanding from the law of existence as unified, how does life then change? What's the evolutionary process of change? And then we're seeing that change unfolds as a process of increasing complexity through deepening evolutionary coherence. And then the third principle is and the law of balance. And this is where it's really important that we understand the systemic boundaries that regulate our interdependencies and interconnections. And what happens if we are not aware of that and we have not incorporated the information of feedback of systemic boundaries in our growth models, both economically in terms of our financial and economic systems, but also in terms of our governance. And then in the drawings below that, you start to see how all of that complexity comes together, but how the constitution, therefore, of seeds serves as a navigational tool, a compass for making decisions together to understand whether the architecture and the design and the systems that we are creating are applying that principle of unity and diversity, are becoming increasingly complex in a way that's evolutionary coherent and not polarized, and are also co-coherent with the larger realities of life, and therefore are supporting the overall balance of life for it to be able to bring forth and actualize our evolutionary potentials. Seed's constitution starts with this declaration. The constitution came in effect on the 10th of July of this year through its unified quorum. And it says, we as the people of Seeds adopt this constitution as our living compass to co-create the evolutionary systems, cultures, and tools for thriving civilizations and the regeneration of our planet. Now, this constitution also serves as a template for the development of other constitutions. So it's freely available, can be adopted and adapted and contextualized for other movements, other organizations. And that's the beauty of it, how it, from its unity, also then starts to guide a further diversification. And just very briefly, Article 1 is our vision, and with details, all of that is outlined. The entire, as I said, the entire constitution itself is coded on blockchain. And so all of that can be seen there. So humanity as wise, joyful, and loving partners, co-creating a flourishing world together with our earth and the web of life. And then Article 2, our purpose, really brings us into the center now of the compass, that little black dot, that little cosmic potential that is within all of us, to serve the regenerative renaissance by co-creating economic governance and financial systems for regenerative and thriving civilizations. So that's the agreement from all the citizens that that's really the purpose that brings us together. This is why we're doing this. And we are basing them, we have embedded these 3 laws of life, or 3 evolutionary principles are embedded within the constitution itself. And the first principle therefore helps us to understand that the universe is a single unified being, and how we each form part of that wholeness, and how important it is to design from that understanding and also the consciousness of wholeness. The second principle then is having that awareness that the universe evolves through deepening coherence and increasing complexity. And this is, we are applying this also in the way that we are growing as an ecosystem. So when we are seeing that there are fractions that are starting to emerge, or too much diversity in the system that is not coherent, we go back to that principle to also be able to distinguish, is our complexity healthy? Or does it start to become degenerative, and what actions do we need to take? And this is really a continuous living experiment that we're in every week, sensing, fine-tuning, listening for feedback. The third principle then is where the safer boundaries are coming in, but also the understanding of how is consciousness now actualizing the inherent and innate cosmological potentials of this deeper unity, by learning, experimenting, collaborating, reflecting, and sharing together as we're doing today. And that really reminds us then in terms of design, the importance of honoring systemic autonomy and autopoiesis, self-creation, regulation, adaptation. And this is applied especially to look for the informational dynamics. What are we measuring? How are we understanding also what we're measuring? What feedback are we giving back into the systems? Also, what behaviors are we rewarding? It goes on the constitution, where you see in details then how each of these principles are applied. And this is giving the 5 kind of architectural protocols for how we create our seeds operating systems. And it also means that any offsprings within the seeds ecosystems need to still go through this constitution. The constitution is also can evolve. People can make amendments, and that there's again a voting process to go through that when people want to evolve it further. And these are then the 8 core values, and they have both inner values as well as outer values. We see them as 4 suns and 4 moons. So the sun is really how we express ourselves outwardly, and the inner values, like a moon, help us to integrate and to come back into the center. So exploration, outwardly; reciprocity, more inwardly; openness, integrity; courage, trust; commitment, compassion. So it's like this up and this flowing movement. Also the masculine and feminine principles always balanced within the design. Then it goes further into 13 architecture protocols, which you can read through the seeds constitution. I cannot see right now the chat, but maybe Alexander, if you can share in the chat the seeds constitution, that would be great. And otherwise I'll share it after that. And this then brings us together to 16 commitments. These are the 16 coordinates on the outside of the compass, as also the 16 focal areas that we really need to steward together. But also we've designed it, this whole process as a quest, so that it is a learning process, it's a discovery process. And there are 4 pillars in these 16 commitments that really help us then how to live into this as a pledge. So that when also new citizens come on board, they go through these 16 commitments, they get also training in that, to go through the pledge. And it starts as simple as answering the call of the Renaissance quest, taking responsibility for our power, and then investing that in our thrivability and becoming the Renaissance agents. And then the next level of commitments all have to do with now, how do we develop the right tools to really support this transition to regenerative and thrivable civilizations? By, of course, applying this constitution, but also designing it, the architecture of what we're doing from healthy living systems, and creating and continuously improving our tools and protocols, so important. Becoming an architect of future civilizations, and then bringing in the partnership element to really honor and seek out who are our allies on this process. And this is what we'll be doing today in session 2, partnering with our earth for our common health, playing compassionately with others, be a good player. But also allying with our future ancestors. And remember, you are a future ancestor. And very important, celebrate the transition moments and growth. Have these rites of passage moments as well, honoring also what's dying, what's dissolving, what needs to die as well as what's emerging and seeking to be born. And then the next level is really about building our new world while transitioning from the old, because there is a lot of death and collapse happening. But there's also a lot that's emerging and seeking to be born. So opting out of systems of harm, opting into systems that can heal and regenerate our world, purposefully creating thrivable communities and ecosystems, and becoming the world we wish to live in, one seed at a time. And we have in the final article of the Constitution also really giving a voice to the earth and non-human life, and taking the fundamental position that we are all indigenous to our earth. And having said that, that we also honor indigenous guiding principles. So that brings me then to the visioning. Let's go and explore this. So let's enter into the consciousness states that are really at the foundation of the kind of new experimentations that have come up through this year. So what I'm going to ask all of you to do now is, for the coming 5 to 10 minutes, just close your eyes. Just close your eyes. And take a deep breath. And bring your awareness, first of all, back to yourself. Relax into yourself. Feel your body. And become present of where you are here and now. And connect with your breath. Just breathing in and breathing out. And knowing you already are in the deepest unity with life. And we already are in the deepest unity with each other. And I'd like you to imagine and become aware how the seed potentials of a future era, a future time, already live within you. A future time of a higher order of reality that we can evolve into by recognizing what works, what doesn't work, what we need to change, and who we can become together. And allow now these seed potentials, these future potentials of this higher order of reality to activate within you. To grow stronger and awaken further. So much so that a beautiful glowing energy starts to spread to your entire body. It's the presence of the future, of a thrivable world, a world founded on the principles of our unity and wholeness and deep collaboration. And as these future potentials are activating even further within you, and this future is announcing itself within you, within your thoughts and your feelings, your dreams, your hopes. It now gives you the possibility to see into this future possibility of a thrivable world, which also has within it a whole new governance, new ways in which we as humanity are together, new ways for how we coordinate our activities, how we align our actions, how we grow, develop, and evolve. And allow the presence of this future reality now to give you the ideas, the understanding, the visions that are yours to receive from this future world, so that you in your life can take the actions necessary for co-creating this new paradigm in the way we human together and steward our planet. I will give you now a few minutes of time to explore the presence of this future within you. Good, very good. And now bring your awareness fully in the here and now, feeling your body again, and thanking our future possibility for guiding us here today. And when you're ready, you may slowly open your eyes, being fully grounded, present here. Just move your shoulders, your hands, your feet. As we are now ready to embark on the next part of our program. We are going to be for 20 minutes into small breakout groups. And we have prepared for you a Google document. If Alexander or the rest of the team can just put the link in the chat. And I just ask you now to, if you are on a computer, to please click that link that will bring you to a Google document where we can write down of our visions. But I'd like to ask you to write down some of your keywords of the visions and ideas that have emerged while you're in conversation with your small breakout group. So Sam, if you could start to prepare for us the breakout groups, and then you will be getting a notice at the bottom of your computer that you're allocated to a working group. Notice well the room number to which you're being allocated, so that when you are in your small breakout group, you'll be with about 5 people. You can share with each other and make sure that everyone has an opportunity to share. So just don't take more than a few minutes, that you can rotate. Share your visions, share your feelings, share what has emerged, and then write that down, some of those keywords on the Google Doc, and also put your name on the Google Doc where the allocation is made for that.